Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on The Flash Season 9. This is going to be my review for episode 11 for this season, the third last episode ever, otherwise entitled A New World Part 2, but it had like another subtitle of The Blues. I think that's what it was, just The Blues. But of course, spoiler, not watching the episode because I'm going to be talking about all the big reveals, especially towards the final 5-7 minutes roughly. So yeah, some big stuff happens there. And yeah, man, Barry can't catch a break, I'll tell you that. But yeah, if you've not watched the episode, go away. But if you have, let me know in the comment section down below your various thoughts on this episode. What you like, what you hate, any theories and predictions moving forward. What do you think of the various reveals? Did it shock you? Do you wish it was something else? Let me know in the comment section down below. Always curious to read what you guys are thinking. And of course, you're going to enjoy the video, want to show support, enjoy the episode, everything like that. Drop a like on the video to show your support. So last episode was, of course, the beginning or part one for this final storyline, A New World, where we saw Barry taken by the Blue Crystal all the way back to the year 2000, where he got to spend the day with his parents before he loses them both technically, one with his mother Nora being killed and his father being taken away to prison as well. So he gets to spend the day there. Obviously the crystal, the intention I guess there was to torture Barry, but instead it gives him the closure that he always wanted. And this obviously involves some interactions with Eobard Thawne and going back to the night, or that night, where Nora is killed, where Barry becomes that Flash that we saw tell the season 1 Flash to not intervene. So some cool full looping stuff there. But at the end of the episode, Barry is zapped off elsewhere and we don't know what's going on. But of course, also at the end of the episode, earlier we'd met this Eddie Thawne looking dude. At the end, we find out this guy is called Malcolm Gilmore, and he gets struck by the negative speed force and gets a file with Eddie Thawne's, like the incident report for Eddie Thawne's death. What's going on there? Well, it all happens this episode. But this episode was weaker than last one. So it did deal with the sort of like the situation that Team Flash is in while Barry is gone. So Cobalt Blue, or the Crystal, might I say, was affecting Barry back then. At the same time, it's affecting the present day with Team Flash and trying to mess with them and take them out one by one. And just sort of, affect the loved ones around Barry's life, which is like in the comics. Cobalt Blue does that because at the time in the comics, Barry was dead. So we get that sort of similarity in this episode where Barry is, not dead, but he's not in the present day. He's vanished. So Cobalt Blue is affecting, Barry's close ones in a very similar way to the comics. It's just that Barry's not actually dead. So yeah, so it's very similar to the comics. Did see some people complaining. I think it's mainly because Team Flash, quality-wise, isn't that great as it could be, and that's probably where the frustration comes. But the story made sense, it worked, and that's all that really mattered to me. But points off because the characters just aren't that interesting at the end of the day. But yeah, the Malcolm Gilmore and reveals and stuff like that throughout this episode were, I think, really well done. Some might argue rushed, but I think there's still more to explore come next episode. So yeah, I sort of want to save my judgments until what we see next episode. But in regards to this episode, I thought they were done fairly well. I was pretty happy with them. But yeah, in regards to the breakdown of this episode, we actually start the episode in a very similar fashion to last one by seeing blue flowers like we did last episode, with this Eddie Thawne looking fellow walking into the Central City Police Department with him holding the file on Eddie Thawne that he received at the end of last episode. Now, when he arrives, everyone is looking at him in a strange way as if they're, I don't know, seeing a ghost, with us saying that we are in the future, as you'd expect, somewhere in the future at the very least, because Officer Corbar, that we've seen normally, who's just a standard beat cop, almost like what Joe was last episode, is now the captain of the police department, and everyone is stunned as Eddie Thawne's face is still on that memorial plaque on the wall. Now, quickly, I want to ignore some person is deciding to weed whack, or whatever you want to call it, in the middle of the day. So if you can see that, or not see that, obviously, you can hear that, I apologize. Stop it. What are you doing? Now, back in the present day, we actually see that Team Flash is discussing Barry's disappearance. It's been just under 7 hours. It was like, 6 hours and 50 odd minutes or something since he disappeared. And the abundance of cobalt radiation that was in the area is brought up. So, the term cobalt, very interesting. And the episode is called The Blues, or the subtitle is The Blues. But the main thing that is noted is that it wasn't an accident. It was targeted. So that's a bit of a worry there. Now, Chillblaine all of a sudden returns out of the blue after a call from Cecile, which is quite interesting. And at the time, I didn't really think too much of it, but come, later events in the episode, you go, odd, bit strange. Now at the Citizen, we do see that Iris is, going back over past instances, might I say, of Barry being in trouble, such as Crisis. But then we see Allegra attacked by a blast of blue energy, though we don't see who it was. And it was very similar to what Joe was doing when he was shooting, all that stuff last episode after being controlled by the blue crystal. This then leads to a gas leak with the employees of the Citizen passing out due to exposure and close to death, with Khione arriving out of nowhere and pretty much turning them into Skrulls. That's what they look like, which they weren't too happy about. I was like, hey, you survived. You would be dead without that. I know, would you rather be dead or look like a Skrull? I don't know. Probably depends who you are. I mean, this is the DC universe. There's, some strange looking people. But after Allegra is found, a scan of her finds out that she has cobalt radiation on her as well. So, of course, she was attacked by sort of a similar thing or the same thing that's with Barry. And we do see that Team Flash appears to be stalked with some sneaky camera angles. And I honestly thought that I was just doing that. I was thought, is it actually meant to be someone that's in there and a part of the team? Because at the moment, I didn't really think of Chillblaine as them playing a part of that. So I thought, oh, maybe they're just being weird. Sort of similar to like the Black Flame situation from last season. I was trying to remember if that was season 7 or not, but last season it was sort of similar to that. But no, it actually ended up, being relevant and actually working or meant to be like that. Now, back to the future, we do see Malcolm Gilmore, Dr. Gilmore, as he's stressed, talking to Captain Korba, where he tries to prove his identity, but his driver's license is blank. And then it fills in with like his information via some blue lightning. It says that he was born, I think it said he was born in 2017. Now, Malcolm says that after he was struck by that lightning and this like file appeared, he felt this like sudden urge to keep looking into more and more and just find out more about Eddie Thawne and what was going on there. But all of a sudden, this dark voice we heard last episode that was sort of reaching out to Joe starts speaking out to Malcolm and telling him to find her. Find her. I had to go rewatch it during the ad break, but it was find her. So who's this her? Now, meanwhile, Chillblaine roasts the hell out of Khione to the point of ridiculousness. I was like, what the hell is going on here? There's fair enough, like roasting your mate or having a serious talk, but this was like verbal abuse pretty much. I was like, what the hell is going on here? He was calling her an abomination after what she did to help serve those employees at the Citizen. And then this all makes sense as it is revealed that he is the one being controlled by the crystal, glowing blue eyes and all, with Chillblaine actually moving the charade over to Chester and distracting him so he can disable the search for cobalt radiation so he can keep doing what he's doing. Chillblaine then takes out Cecile to get to Iris, but before being able to kill her, the Speed Force arrives to stop him, with Chillblaine or the crystal vowing to finish Iris off, but more importantly, the rest of the Allen family. Now, I think this is a big thing moving into these last 2 episodes, and even specifically next episode, especially following the reveal at the end of this episode, which doesn't necessarily straight up target Barry, but I think that will be something that's brought up next episode. So this is a bit of a teaser hint sort of thing going forward into the final 2 episodes. So just keep that in the back of your head that he's vengeful on the Allen family. Now, we do see that the Speed Force is weak due to the negative forces attacking it, with the Speed Force actually unable to track Barry and just know where he is. He's just trapped elsewhere, with the Speed Force saying that Khione is needed to help. Now, back in regards to Malcolm, because the episode does sort of go back and forth, it's very much different than last episode, where we're just with Barry pretty much the entire episode for the most part, but we're bouncing back and forth with Malcolm, and we see that the find her was in reference to Iris, which I think most people would think would be the case if it said find her. Maybe it could have been his mother if that was the case, but yeah, talking about Iris, with Malcolm experiencing flash memories to Eddie's moments with Iris. Now, Malcolm goes to the Citizen where he is searching for something, anything on Eddie Thawne, but at the sight of a photo of Iris and Joe, he gets more visions of his death and final moments. He is closer to finding out how Eddie died and what was redacted from the file, because that's really the whole thing. That file, it was just black lines everywhere. There was like hardly any information outside of the words like and but or there or whatever it was. All the vital stuff was removed. Now, speaking of death and pretty gnarly scenes, Khione is summoned by the Speed Force, where she is drawn back in to help, where it is heavily suggested by the Speed Force that Khione is the Life Force. And at this point, we get Khione against the crystal controlled Chillblaine, Crystal Blaine, I don't know what you'd call him, where Khione is talked out of stopping the crystal because it would kill Chillblaine if she does so, very similar to last episode with Joe and Barry. So she goes, okay, YOLO, I'll do it myself. She kills Chillblaine in a pretty gnarly way, just making all of his hands disintegrate and everything like that. It was pretty insane. This, of course, takes the crystal out and reverses it and, and allows her to put him back. But that was a pretty insane scene. I thought the VFX were really good in that scene. Now, while this is all going on, Iris actually starts to have contractions and go into labor. She's about to have her child. She's about to have Nora. But luckily, Barry all of a sudden shows up after last episode in his flash suit and everything. So, I mean, good timing, I guess. And at the hospital, Khione does acknowledge that she is destined for bigger things outside of Central City. But after saying this, Barry is taken once again by the crystal. So I hope you enjoyed your 10 minutes back home, Barry. I don't even know if it was 10 minutes. Let's say 5 minutes. But yeah, he's gone as quick as he came. So see you next episode, Barry, wherever you might be. Now, the end scene of the episode answers the question that we were all wondering. Is this person Malcolm Gilmore? Is he Eddie Thawne? He looks like Eddie Thawne, but Eddie Thawne died, went to the Singularity, what's there? Or is he someone else? Is he a descendant of Eddie Thawne? It would have worked either way. And the episode really sort of kept you guessing that was happening because it easily could have been the negative Speed Force that was giving him these memories in sort of like a way to go, hey, get some vengeance for your ancestor or your dad, whoever it might be. But we get the full-on answer come the end of the episode. So we do have Malcolm digging up Eddie Thawne's grave, needing to see Eddie's corpse to get some confirmation, with Captain Korba trying to stop him at the same time. So she's going to get the reveal at this point as well. But when we see that the when Eddie, or Malcolm, I guess, sees the coffin is empty, there's no corpse, and he gets more and more and more like flashing memories of sorts of Eddie's life, with Barry revealing his identity to him, Eddie proposing to Iris, his death, his final moments before his death with Iris, getting sucked into the Singularity, leading all up to this point, complete with him having the same wound now that Eddie had. He is Eddie Thawne. That's the big reveal. Now, the thing with this is that they're still going to connect some dots come next episode. So we don't have the full story. Now, the big thing around this is I've always had an issue with was making Eddie the villain. Now, I think next episode is going to give us the reasoning as to why he can go about and do that, and it doesn't really corrupt the character too much or make the character ruin the character, I guess you could say, because he died a hero. So is he going to then die a villain come the end of the season? That's a big thing. Is it the negative Speed Force that is pushing this, or is this purely Eddie's motivations? Hopefully it's the negative Speed Force and not Eddie, because that could, maybe change the character's viewpoint for the worse. So the next couple of episodes are really going to, decide that for us. So let's wait and see what happens there. But overall, as I said, it wasn't as good as last episode, but it definitely continues the story in a really great way. And I think really does feel like the Cobalt Blue story from the comics in regards to what the crystal was doing in the present day. I know that people won't be happy that there was no Barry, which I understand. At the point, I was like, oh, this needs a bit more of an interesting character there. And I think that's probably what it lacked. I don't necessarily think it needed Barry. I think it just needed someone more interesting there. But outside of that, I think this was still a really good episode to play into this storyline. So yeah, I'm very intrigued to see where it leads into next episode, because I think it's going to answer more questions in regards to this whole Cobalt Blue thing. And I have a feeling next episode we'll get to see the Cobalt Blue suit for the first time. So I'm pretty stoked for that. But yeah, solid episode, not amazing, just did its job. And I think it did it in a pretty, decent way. It didn't feel like there was much filler in there. And so it's like one or two scenes. So yeah, progressed it well. And I'm pretty happy with it. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on it, show support. Let me know in the comments section down below your various opinions on this episode. What you like, what you hate, theories, predictions moving forward, expectations, reactions to the reveals at the end of the episode. Let me know in the comments section down below your thoughts there. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. And yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.